everybody. So this is really exciting. We are here to talk about the sci-fi film noir classic Blade Runner, which is getting a new sequel in theaters this week. And my friend Patrick is here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, I'm Patrick. I also do movie reviews, and I'm excited to talk about Blade Runner.
Yeah, so this film was, of course, directed by Ridley Scott, and it was released in 1982. It was originally not all that successful. It didn't do that great, but has definitely, I think you could safely say, has gained a cult following. It starred Harrison Ford, Rutger Hauer, Sean Young, and Edward James Olmos. And it's, like I said, they are making this new movie, which we will talk about also sometime next week, by director Denis Villeneuve. And so what was your sort of overall reaction to rewatching this film?
Rewatching Blade Runner, it was a mixed bag for me, to be honest. I have grown up always hearing about Blade Runner, about the different versions, which one you need to see. Final Cut is the answer to that for everybody. Yeah. Don't yell at me. I don't like the narration version. That one is a little bit weird. But going into this, I mean, you don't know what to expect, honestly, going in. And I honestly, at the beginning, did not do enough research to really understand that this is a modern noir that has sci-fi influences, but when you break it down, it's a film noir of a detective going and doing his thing with Harrison Ford. I think that it's so respectable as a film and as just one of those films that changes the genre, like flips it on its head, a lot like how The Dark Knight changed superhero genre and how it transcended from being just a superhero film. It was something more than that. And so Blade Runner did a great job of that. But if I'm being completely honest with you, and this is where I'm going to get attacked, it's a little slow. It was hard for me to kind of work through at the beginning just because I didn't understand it. But once I took the time to really do the research, understand the characters, and I mean, it's beautiful. That's the first thing that I'll talk about. It's just aesthetically, it's just gorgeous.
Yeah. We're pretty close on this, actually. The first time I saw it was actually last year. I do a blind spot series on my blog, and it happened to be playing in the theater, and so I picked it as one of my blind spots. So I go in to see it, and I was completely overwhelmed after the first 20 minutes. I did not understand what was going on. Yeah. I didn't get it. And so I actually went into the hallway and read the Wikipedia summary, because I don't care about spoilers. I'm not somebody who cares about that.
Something's been around since the 80s. The time for spoilers is done.
Yeah, and I needed some bearings. I needed some grounding. It's kind of like before you see a Shakespeare movie, you need to kind of know what you're going to see. Otherwise, it's overwhelming. Yeah. And so I felt the same way. And after I did that, it helped me so much more to enjoy the experience. But I do agree that there are definitely patches that are very slow in this film, and that aren't. I don't know that I do fall asleep.
Yeah.
And so I do agree. I think that it ends strong. I think that it has strong sections, but then once it's getting too mired down in the goings on of that company, the kind of thing. I think that's when it particularly gets kind of boring.
Yeah.
What's that? I forget what the company is called, but yeah, I think
it's Taggart,
head of Tyrell. Yeah, Tyrell. So I think that it has, like you said, it looks gorgeous, and it influenced so many things, from Ghost in the Shell to The Matrix to a million other things, and so that's probably its strongest feature. And I do think it is pretty well cast. I think that Harrison Ford is good in it. I think that Sean Young is probably my favorite in the cast. She's really good. Rutger Hauer is good. So I thought we'd kind of talk about first, what do you think is the main message of Blade Runner?
I think it's pure philosophical. I think it's talking about what is humanity, what is it to be human, and that's the theme that travels hopefully over to Blade Runner 2049. It's just the idea of what makes you a human. Is it feeling? Is it going through life in general? Can something artificial be an actual person? What does that even mean? A lot kind of like what Ghost in the Shell explores too.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting because I agree that that's one of the main messages, because the droids only have 4 years to live, and they know that, and they are so fixated and want to extend their life however they can. But the humans, who can live however long they want, are mindlessly taking pills.
Yeah,
and that you see throughout the thing, and so that we as human beings so often don't value our time and value our humanity. So I think that is one of the main messages of the movie. And of course, you have on all of these buildings, you have these women just taking pills. And so
Rutger Hauer with that. I mean, are we okay to spoil things? Is this
spoiler podcast?
The end monologue by Rutger Hauer. I mean, it's so powerful and moving when they're on that balcony and he's just covered in the rain and he's just going 100 miles an hour with what he's saying, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, that was really good. What do you think that the movie is trying to say about sort of the police state, where you have someone like Harrison Ford like hunting people down, and starts out with an interrogation at the beginning of the movie, versus like you have like corporate power, you have a bunch of different kinds of power in the movie. And did you get anything sort of what it might be trying to say about that?
Well, it definitely covers class. It covers that there's different classes in this Blade Runner world, and I think it really brings it into perspective what we're in currently in this world. I mean, it's not too far off. Next year is when Blade Runner was supposed to happen, and we're getting close to AI. It's already happened.
Yeah.
Right? I think I just read a story that the first robot's DNA or something has been created, and everybody from Putin to Bill Gates are saying that this is the thing that's going to cause World War III. And when I look at Blade Runner and how they're able to kind of take replicants as like the minorities that we have today, and how they're horribly mistreated, and not seen as human to a lot of like the overarching powers for the police state. It's fascinating and also disgusting, because it's like, ooh, this is fake, but it's real in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I think that's why they use some like mystical symbolism, like the unicorns, or like the religious symbolism, is to sort of remind people about something greater than survival. Kind of, it feels like it's sort of a society that's kind of been diluted down to that. Whether it's the replicants trying to survive, whether it's everybody in the movie is just like kind of trying to survive. And you have the moment with the Sean Young character, Rachel.
Yeah.
With Rachel and Deckard, where they actually have this intimate moment, and it feels like the one time in the movie where there's actually some hope and some humanity, because
he doesn't see her that way anymore. He no longer sees her as a replicant, but as a person.
Yeah.
And when she goes, "Are you going to turn me in?" and he says, "No," I'm not, like, at that point.
Yeah.
How could I? I know to I. It's one of those, like, what's the word for it? Undeniable truths, I guess, that movies present to people. Whether it's if you saw Moonlight last year, or films that explore more of the obscurity of life and what people don't understand. Once you can see that and you see the humanity in it, you can't deny it anymore. Yeah, it's become part of you.
Yeah, well, and I think also like it says something to the effect of like, I don't know, that the importance of sort of memories, and how like they try to keep the androids from like having memories, from like. And how that's also part of us sort of being human. Yeah. Is like we're not just acting on instinct. We're not just doing what we're told. We build and we grow, and we have these memories that are really important to us. And so I think that there are a lot of layers to this movie, and it does obviously talk about artificial intelligence too, and.
Do you think we're going to get overrun by artificial intelligence? Like, just to keep it real here, are we doomed? Right. Is this happening?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the right answer.
If you pay attention to like Ex Machina and there's it could get dicey.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how, as we become maybe not artificial intelligence, but we've gotten a lot of our humanity now from technology.
Yeah.
We've gotten at least there that, like, if I'm feeling sad on a typical day, I don't go over to my neighbor and say, how are you doing? And talk and feel good. I go on Facebook and talk to people or go on my blog or whatever. And so it's kind of interesting that way. And that's one thing I really loved about Ingrid Goes West, this movie this year, because it's all about kind of the loneliness of modern life.
Yeah.
And that's, you can definitely feel that in this movie, that everybody is very lonely, every character, until you have this one intimate moment between these two characters. And so I think that we've at least gotten that far.
Yeah.
So there you go. So do you think that Deckard is a replicant, and do you think that he is a hero?
You know, I've seen a lot of debate about this, clearly, whether he's a replicant or not. And I think, it depends on the version that you're watching. Because one, they make it a little bit more ambiguous. The other, they're very clearly saying he's human, in my opinion. I think, for me, I'll defer to Harrison Ford whenever he's asked. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Like, that's the point of the movie is...
If they, in 2049, I feel like they will have to explain, because the replicants can only live for 4 years. And if it's 2049...
How is he still alive? If he is a replicant. So that will be interesting. I never thought that he was, but then everybody else seems so sure of the fact that he is. So I'm like, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't think it's clear one way or another, which is kind of fun. So, how do you think the film film noir? They use film noir to create tone and mood.
Yeah.
In the movie, do you think they're successful with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's what makes this such a classic. Is people go to this and they say this is noir in a whole new realm that we've never seen before, and it's done so well that you can go back to it over and over. And Harrison Ford plays such a good, like, kind of outside the law. And kind of to answer your question just before, I think he's an anti-hero in a lot of ways. I don't think he's clearly on one side or the other. He's forced to come in to do this because the police basically, like, just take him and drag him over. And I don't think a good guy would feel like he'd have to be forced into a situation like that. And the further he goes into this, you can tell that he's conflicted and that there's so much gray in this investigation that he's looking into, that I think that he's more of an anti-hero. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, what do you think about this movie has made it have such a following and last so long?
That I don't know. I think not to sound crazy, but I think mainly it's probably what the impact had on that time period. Like, it's kind of like asking why Star Wars it still travels so far, because when it was done the first time, nobody had done it before, and so it set the gold standard for how to do films like this, and it's been copied over and over. Blade Runner, like Ghost in the Shell, the Scarlett Johansson remake, it was Ghost in the Shell, but they very clearly wanted to make a Blade Runner-esque version of Ghost in the Shell. Which you can also say, I don't know which came out first, but I'm pretty sure Blade Runner came out before Ghost in the Shell did.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And that even has a little bit of influence.
Oh yeah, definitely. The Matrix, like I said, a bunch of other films. I mean, I think with Star Wars, it connected with children so much, so you can see why it had such a legacy.
Yeah.
When anything connects with children. But I think with this, I think people like something sometimes that they have to work a little bit harder.
True.
There's a certain appeal to that like that people get sort of tired of easily digestible. My mom used to always say to me, I don't want you to mindlessly consume entertainment. I want you to think about it. I want you to think about what they're saying. I want you to think about what the message is, all that kind of stuff. And I think that is sort of some of its appeal, is that it's maybe that it is a little bit harder, that it is a little bit difficult at certain points, and also I do think kind of this continual editing and continual changing, continual kind of has sort of kept it kept people sort of, I got to watch this version and see, and you can kind of talk about it and what do we think, and it's not a movie that gives a ton of answers too, so it's one that you can kind of develop your own theories on, you can kind of have your own ideas on, and I think people really like that.
Another similarity between this and Star Wars, they keep doing different versions of the same thing, but I guess in this case it's getting better. When George Lucas, when he would do the specials, they just kind of
yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah.
Have random Jabba show up.
Right, exactly. So, that's basically most of my questions. Mm-hmm. So, if you were to give this like between 1 and 10, what would you give it? What would you rank it?
I feel like it's got to be ranked high first of all, just because even though it's something that me personally I felt was a little bit slower to catch up to, I don't think that should be counted to like the quality of film that I see. So, if it were up to me, I would probably give it about an 8.5 out of 10. I don't think that it's, for me personally, has hit that high mark of being a classic 10. Yeah. Everyone can see it, but it's definitely one of those films where I respect the crap out of the philosophical ideas that it presents, to even the set design, the miniatures design. It's just so gorgeous looking. Yeah. And you gotta love Harrison Ford. Yeah. Like, anything that man is in, like, come on.
And I really do like Sean Young in this. I think that she, there's a vulnerability to her. Yeah. She's really good. I would probably give it like an 8 out of 10. So close to what you would give it. Because it is... I've fallen asleep every single time I've watched it, and so you got to dock it a little bit for that. Yep. But yeah, it's a movie that you can keep going back to and keep wondering. So, what do you think? What do you feel like the new film kind of has to do to work, in your opinion?
Well, let me just make a quick disclaimer. Film is subjective, people. Yeah. Your opinion on this does not have to be the same as us. So we give it 8.5. You can give it a 10. You can give it a 2. Whatever you want. It's your opinion. You know. Blade Runner 2049. I need first of all to just watch it and be enveloped. I hear it's a huge scaled movie. Like, it's something that you have to experience in a theater. I'm personally wanting to go see it in IMAX. I don't know if you're planning on doing that.
I can't. I'm seeing a marathon, and I can't remember if it was IMAX or not.
Yours is at Regal, right?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. They might have one. Yeah.
I've never been to that theater. This is my first time, so
I need them to keep I needed them to keep the tone. First of all, the tone's got to stay the same, but it's got to be a different story set in the same universe. Mm-hmm. Like, it can't be something where they're going to completely derail from what the original one is. And I love what Denis Villeneuve said when he was at Comic-Con, and the first question somebody had is why did you think that you were the one that needed to take on this project? Mm-hmm. And can I swear in this? Yeah. Is that a thing?
It's okay.
He straight up was like, look, I wanted to do this because I didn't want anybody else to fuck it up.
Yeah.
Like, that's the main reason. And everybody's just like, yeah, just started cheering for it. And that confidence, like that level of self-esteem for that, I mean, I gotta give him credit. And he's never made a bad film, like you said, like Arrival, Prisoners, Sicario, Enemy, a little bit more obscure one. He's done no wrong so far.
Yeah, I think for me, I hope that it has all that atmosphere, and it has. I am sure that Ryan Gosling will be good. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that Harrison Ford will be good. He's kind of going on his greatest hits cycle. Like he's going back to all his.
That was the other thing at Comic-Con. Did you hear that when somebody raised their hand and said, "This is for Harrison. Is your goal now to remake every single character that you've already done?" And he leaned in and he's like, "You bet your ass that is." He's like, "Yeah, we got a problem with that. I'm Harrison Ford. What do you want?"
He's gonna be president again before we're gonna get the.
Oh, I want that. I want that so bad now.
Yeah, and so I think my biggest, I guess, worry, because one of the things the original does well is it keeps the side characters to a minimum so they don't get annoying.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never annoyed at Rucker Hauer. I'm never annoyed at the Tyrell people. I'm never annoyed. And Edgar James Olmos, I'm not annoyed at their characters. And I think that Jared Leto has a high annoyance threshold for me. And so...
he can get there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not sending dead pigs to the cast or anything.
Right. And so, characters like that, they need to keep it in check. Keep it in check for me. Like, that will be a big determinant, I think. And hopefully they... they work on the pacing just a little bit. That would be nice.
That's fair.
I could totally see myself liking this better than the original.
I have a feeling I will.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening. But we'll just have to see. It's going to be interesting to go from seeing one to seeing the other in like this marathon event on Thursday.
I bet it's going to be really fun. I'm excited for you. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. And I'm going with my friend, and I told her she just has to elbow me if I
wake up,
take some caffeine or something. But yeah, so it's a really seminal movie. It's definitely one of those ones that everybody should see, kind of like your Citizen Kane, your movies that you should see to understand film and understand what has made so many things happen. Yeah. It's a Wonderful Life. There's just those sort of iconic films that even if you don't like it, you should still see it and check it off your list. Like The Godfather, you should see The Godfather, that kind of thing. So, all right, well, where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube. Just search Patrick Reviews. That should be the first thing to come up. There's also a little kid that does something. His name is Patrick Reviews. Don't even watch that kid. You watch my channel. Subscribe. I also do a podcast, the Nat Pat Podcast. Me and my wife. You can find us on iTunes on that, and Patrick Beatty Reviews on Facebook.
Awesome. I'll have links to all of that in the description section so you can check it out. And don't forget to subscribe to Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and put your comments, your ratings and reviews in there. That would be really helpful. And I look forward to posting my review on Thursday. So look forward to that. And thanks so much for joining me.
Bye.